All right, we live. Pro B's joined by the head honcho, Kenny Ken, in the vest. Wow, you just put in a hell of a session, right?
It's not even that. I can't get to the gym for love and money because of the because we're all remote working. So just going into town just for a session is a waste of time. So I've got I've got a running machine which I don't use. I've got a cross trainer which I use occasionally. I just go road running now, and I've got a bar and a few the tiniest weights that even I think my daughter can use. But it works because you could do some kind of repetitions and circuits with it. So needs must.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's always a way to get fit. Go back to basics. If like, when I go to the gym, I like to have a shower. Relax. But if they're saying, well, you're only going to have 1 hour's time slots, you're not allowed to use the sanitation things. Well, fair enough. That's fine by me. I'll stay where I am until this situation betters itself.
Definitely, 100%, man. Look, I for one, we got to talk about the Premier League, man. I know,
Mm,
I do the boxing thing, but end of the day, man, I'm a football man as well.
mm,
I love the game, and we've seen some really good games. I mean, over the weekend,
mm.
some good fixtures, but we got to start, with yesterday's game. I
Mm.
wanted to talk to you live about it rather than over the phone. I mean, we had
Yes.
our last catch up last time,
Mm.
and what did you make of the game yesterday?
We played the best team in probably world football, and I say that they're superior to Bayern Munich. The Bayern Munich team, the only team in Europe that I think could give this Liverpool side a game is Bayern Munich, who incidentally are the Super Cup holders and Champions League holders. Because what they did is that they took it another level. Everyone thought that they were sloppy against Leeds United, but against Chelsea they showed what they were made of. And yesterday they got their tactics spot on from start to finish. They had a double press from the front and in the midfield. And what they did, which has to be admired, is that they knew Arsenal were going to hit them on the break from the counter attack. I play out through the back, try and play down the sides, through the right hand side through Bellerin, and all the diagonal ball down the right hand side through Maitland Niles. And basically, apart from the mistake for the goal by Robertson, what they did is they played the high line, but they played the high line with purpose, where basically they played us offside when necessary. But what they did is they cut off the supply, which basically they cut up Aubameyang out of the game, because a lot of
Hmm.
people don't want to see that. They say, "Oh yeah, that Mane should have got sent off for that elbow." Come on, it's a man's game. A Liverpool Arsenal game is blood and thunder. That was no sent off. It was a yellow card as it is. But in terms of that, they punished us for every mistake we made. But we didn't make them on purpose. We made them because of pressure they put on
There's a
us.
pressure, yeah,
Mane,
yeah.
Salah, Firmino, and then you had Fabinho, you had Keita, who I thought played that brilliantly.
Play the
Both
blinder, yeah, yeah.
both without the ball, he was fantastic, and also in terms of help linking up with Mane down that left hand side. I thought he was brilliant. Linking up with Mane and Robertson, I thought he was fantastic. I thought Lacazette worked his nuts off, and he's got 3 and 3. People are going to say, "Well, he missed that chance in the second half before he got substituted." But he was in that position to get there. You know what I mean? And I think we've cried out for Lacazette to be prolific, and now he is prolific 3 games. But we're saying, well, for that chance, he's not a cold hard killer, and probably isn't. But let's not kid ourselves. We weren't going to win that game. Right? We would have been happy with a point. A win would have been like the best thing you can imagine. But if Arsenal are trying to get some progress, get in the top 4, they're not going to get that game against Anfield is not really going to be the game that's going to get us there. It's going to do is make a statement. So
100%.
we have to move on very quickly and realise, right, that there are levels that we need to find in terms of Liverpool showing us where we need to improve in all positions and the level of football we should be playing. We clearly seen that we need a midfield. We need a new midfield. That's always been the case. Also, we may have to look at cover down the right back thing, and maybe there are certain concerns about our number one and his relationship with his defenders and his ability in command of the box, because he looks a nervous keeper when we're under pressure.
Well,
So
yeah,
that's something to look at.
we're definitely going to get into that bit. All right, we already got a question from MTK Live Horizontal HD. He tunes in quite regularly. Can you ask Ken, does he think that the fact that so many Prem teams are scoring goals in games is due to there being no fans and less stadium pressure?
I think the football's been fantastic without the fans, to be honest. I think the games have been flowing, and maybe I'm seeing a festival of attacking football, and it definitely has bears in mind, because like you look at Xhaka, his performances since the Project Restart have been of the standards. Obviously, people have opinions whether Xhaka's good enough or not, but I can't deny that definitely has a bearing. You can't deny it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's not nice to have crowds, but the players are playing without any pressure. Managers are able to get their instructions across without crowd interference. So, yeah, I think it does bear a factor.
100%.
Also, MTK, the defending's been atrocious. To be honest, I don't know whether it's because some teams haven't had a pre-season, but it seems to be that film, No Sex Please We're English. It seems to be no defending please we're English.
Now, do you know what I think? The Premier League is all about goals, excitement, attacking football. It's been about poor defending for a little while. I mean, if you want real defensive drilling, you go to Serie A back in the day. Man's like Bergami, Maldini at the back. These guys, Nesta, these guys, Cannavaro, these guys, they really were the art of defending. Well, the Premier League is always a bit more diverse about it.
Well, I think the problem with the Premier League, right, is defenders nowadays. Is the defenders nowadays? No one wants to defend. Everyone wants a defender who's good on the ball. You know what I mean? No, you have to be able to, like I said, have 2 good feet. You have to be able to sort of link up the play. Because with managers like Pep Guardiola, and to a certain extent, Mikel Arteta, what he's trying to do is that, David Luiz plays in an Arsenal team because he's good on the ball, and because he has that long pass. Remember that long pass that he put through to Maitland-Niles yesterday, where Maitland-Niles' first touch was, let him down a bit. But that's what managers like Pep and Arteta are looking for, and that's why the goalkeeping situation at Arsenal is a concern, because if you want to start attacks from the back, then you need your goalkeeper to be comfortable in possession. I don't think any managers nowadays actually care whether your goalkeeper gets robbed by an attacker. They still want you. They still want you to play out the back. That's the modern football. Hoofing it down the field, because their attitude is, say you're playing against a team who's better than you in terms of Man City, and say you're playing against them Liverpool, who dominate possession in terms of like 70% plus stats. If you play the ball long, you're not getting it back, and then by not getting it back, you're spending more time running than actually playing the football. So when you do get the ball, because you're so tired mentally to actually find your teammate, these teams double press you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how they create the pressure.
I feel like right now, Liverpool embodied, what a team should have. Work rate, good attack, defensive cohesion, solid goalkeeper. They have it all in abundance. They don't have an Aubameyang, but as a unit, they tick over so well. And I think for them as well as them being a great side at the moment, it's the timing aspect. Man City rebuild, rebuild needed.
Yeah, but you think you've got a trouble when you have a team like Man City trying to rebuild, is you've got a manager who, and I'm not just talking about Pep or Jose. Modern managers don't stay at a club for 10 years. Even English managers, for some reason, is that chairmen get itchy feet. What they tend to do is they think, well, they actually think their club's better than what they are. For instance, say we're managed as Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace are punching above their weight, and they finish about 6th, 7th, and 8th over a five-year period. You'll get a chairman who's going to now start. I want the top 4 now, and then that's when that's why managers don't normally last. So if they have a few bad results, they lose their jobs. Pochettino, he took Tottenham to the crest of a wave. You know, Harry Redknapp laid foundations, but Pochettino got them believing they're the best team in England and the best team in Europe. And yes, they didn't win any trophies, but they played a lot of big, games. Then all of a sudden, the standards go down. They're not working as hard off the ball as they were before. They're not double pressing, which they did in the 2017 season and the 2018 season when their first season at Wembley, and actually played the football that got them to the Champions League final. They get a few bad results. He's sacked. Because Spurs now, he's raised expectations. You know what I mean? But you've got the other sort of managers like Guardiola who are not going to be there for the 10 years. They get itchy feet. Players might get itchy feet for them. So you're saying it's a big project at Man City. Who's going to be able to take it on? They may ask they may try and get Arteta back and say, well, he knows the players, and he's got more money to spend, and he's got better players, and he's got a chance if he gets to win the league. So watch this space, Arsenal fans.
All right. We're going to get the people that are joined in the chat and the live stream to ask their questions to Big Kenny Ken, man. All right. MTK again. MTK Live Horizontal HD. Can you ask Ken what his views are on VAR? Is it working? What changes would you make if it was up to you?
No changes whatsoever. You've got to realise, right, is that football, especially fans in this country, managers and players, have to understand it's that VAR's here to stay. You've got to realise is that football is, and I say this with the greatest respect to our beautiful game, it has, for an industry which has billions of pounds spent in it in terms of like advertising and TV, they're the best paid and highest profile players. They've basically been allowed to run themselves. They've been very resistant of technology. Cricket, DRS, third umpire, tennis, Hawkeye, rugby, touchline duds. All of them use technology except for football. And the trouble with VAR is that the reason why we have VAR is because managers, players, and pundits like yourself wanted the referee to have more help. So you got the help, but you don't like it because VAR is allowing you to celebrate a goal that probably was never a goal. But you ask me, has VAR got the decisions right? Are you hating VAR? Are you against VAR because it's inconvenience your celebrations? Are you against VAR because it's a referee's interpretation? Because you can always go back to what we had before, where you're arguing about a last-minute foul, a last-minute elbow off the ball, or you're arguing about a goal that was that should have been given, that wasn't given, or a goal that shouldn't have been given, that was given. So you can't put the genie back in the bottle, and that's the problem. What we're feeling with football now is that everyone in football have new technology, new rules, and they love putting the genie back in the bottle. It's because for some reason, especially in this country, people don't like change. They like calling for change, but when it happens, they don't want it. They don't understand is that VAR. They watched the World Cup in Russia. They had no problem with VAR. They saw the new handball rule in the Champions League when when PSG played Man United and Rashford got that last-minute penalty. We knew it was happening. The Champions League final when Sissoko was given handball because of the new ruling, it was always going to come here, and they resisted, and now it's here. It's a problem.
Hey, Kenny, we've got to go into some of the questions, man. Keep the viewers
definitely
rattling away. All right, Ricky Reynolds, Kenny, have you left AFTV? Smoke straight away.
No, I haven't left AFTV. I think you've got to realise, right, in terms of AFTV is basically people who get interviewed on a match day basis when they're at the ground, but they do have their stable, and and then they have people who get interviewed occasionally. The stable are the people who do the watch-alongs. That's their stable. They're the people who have been loyal to the brand, and people who have might give mileage to the channel. So I've never been part of that stable. So if I get a call and say, would you like to participate? If I can available, definitely participate. But in terms of being part of AFTV, I've always just been someone who's been asked to contribute if needed. But in terms of that stable, I've never been part. It's basically there's nothing to leave because I'm not actually part of it. You know what I mean?
Okay, all right. We'll move on to the next question. Manny, I'm not going to pronounce your surname. I might get it wrong. But all right. I agree with Ken on VAR. I'd like to ask Ken his thought on the new third-tier European club tournament. Waste of time?
I think the problem is that it, in terms of like too much football, you've got to realise right now is that with COVID-19, a lot of associations are losing money, and that's every association in Europe. So in order to like I said, bring some money into these associations, you have to have more games. You have to have more TV, more games, more TV involved, more advertisers. So if it's going to help associations who are suffering from financial, because you've got to remember, the big associations are complaining about lack of money. What about the small associations that we asked to become part of UEFA? They're suffering. So it's probably an overload, but I do understand the fact that the associations need to be fed.
Good question. Good question. Get your questions in. Kenny Ken's in the building. Just on yesterday's game. So I thought Liverpool were magnificent. Yeah,
Yes.
I think the game plan that they implemented was spot on. I did see from Arsenal a few frailties that I've seen before. Arsenal, for all Mikel Arteta is trying to achieve and try and get the most out of them with, is they still have players that have got a rick in them.
Yes.
So you look at Bellerin, right? And Willian. Willian, for me, on that first Liverpool goal, was criminally guilty.
And the
He
second one
didn't
as well.
check. He didn't track his runner. And to be fair, I don't know. Like, I'm not disrespecting Willian, right? But I don't know why Arsenal bought him, right? Because you've got Pepe already. You've got Martinelli that can come in when he's fit again. But Willian is exactly the type of player Arsenal already kind of have. You've got Saka as well.
But do they have that?
He's neat and tidy. He's neat and tidy. He's not even playing in the middle. He's playing wide. So,
but you say that, but the thing is with when you have players like Saka and Pepe playing that sort of right hand side, sometimes it's hard to be direct because they're not right-footed players. It's not natural for them to cross with their right foot. It's natural for them to check in. So what happens is that sometimes if you do check in, you are bringing people into play. But what's happening is that you're going into an overcrowded area in the midfield. Now, Willian, when he plays down that right-hand side, will give us more balance down that right-hand side. And that's what managers do want, is balance. Because you've got to realise, right, is that we're not the finished article. We're not like the teams we had under Arsene Wenger and George Graham back in the day when we were at our best, when we dominated possession. We don't dominate possession. So if you're not dominating possession, it's going to be very hard to get people like Nicola Pepe in the game. And Saka. Nicola Pepe, kind of struggled yesterday getting into the game. But that's no disrespect to him. But the problem is that sometimes the balance from an attacking point of view, and even when we don't have the ball, does get compromised when you've got a left-footed player, especially who's learning the English game, learning how to play without the ball. When he was at Lille, it was a very attacking-based game where he was the man. But in terms of the Arsenal team he's joining, you've got a manager that emphasises wants hard work and wants more stuff off the ball. And that's why he's got a player with experience who he's going to trust. Trust me, William may not have done that much in terms of an attacking point of view, but his manager would have liked the fact that he gave us balance down that right hand side. He would have liked the fact that from attacking, when Liverpool in the attack, even though he was found wanting for his first two goals, but on the whole, he was giving Hector Bellerin a bit of protection because that's what he wants on the whole. Because you've got to realise that our manager isn't the finished article. No, Arsenal are playing sticky plaster over a win football. He hasn't got his style yet, and he ain't got his players. So people need to calm down about that.
All right, MTK is firing in the questions. All right, can you ask Ken, does he think that the respect players show referees needs to change? For example, the big, bad, tough rugby players, how they treat the ref with total respect.
I think you've got to realise in terms of rugby, it's a situation. Rugby is very much a Corinthian type amateur game. Back in it, because remember, rugby's only been professionals for 25 years. It's had a Corinthian spirit. It's a bit like cricket, where they're all traditionally come from public schools, where they don't call it the games, they call it the sports master and the games master. They all play within different houses where they have one for all and all for one, and that they all, like I said, show fortitude when you lose, never disrespecting individuals. Don't be a bad winner. Football's different. Football's very much a working man's game where it's blood and thunder. We're all swearing in front of our kids, even though we should be doing it. We're all saying things we don't mean, and we all think we're hard in the stand. I mean, we think, oh, look at me, I had a go at a player. And then when a player puts it on you, you go crying to a steward.
Cantona, Crystal Palace, Cantona.
Yeah. I mean, I'll change the subject slightly. Yeah. One of these days, I think a footballer's going to stick one on a fan if they don't watch out, because they're getting a bit fresh on social media in the crowd. So, don't be surprised that happens. But in terms of the problem in football in this country, in terms of respect for refs, is that everyone in football they all want to be a referee. They all try to referee the game. The fans try to referee the game. The commentators try to referee the game. The pundits try to referee the game. The managers and every player try to referee the game. I mean, you look at that law change over the handball, a rule that we knew that was coming for the last 2 years. They now want to change it because it don't change it. And they say, well, we're going to put pressure and we're going to get a representation of referee. How dare you? What are you there for? You're there to play football. You're not there to be the referee. As far as I know, a coach is meant to coach his players into formations on and off the ball and actually coach them into fitness. I think that's what they're meant to do. I didn't hear that in their remit is to referee the game. I didn't hear that the players are there to referee the game. The trouble is, the reason why they're against this handball law is because they know that as many times as it's going to benefit them, it's going to be twice as many times it's going to penalise them, and they don't like it. And that's the problem. Too many people in football try to referee the game and don't leave it to the referees. And that's the difference between rugby.
Manny's come back with another interesting question. After the shocker at the Etihad, is it fair to say that it's the beginning of the end of Guardiola's reign at Man City? Take it away, Kenny.
To a certain extent, the problem with Guardiola's got is that he hasn't changed the team. He's still got the thing with Man City, especially with a lot of successful teams. You're seeing it with Barcelona. Is that when you have a whole spine and you don't tweak it or do tweak it, and the player's not good enough, what will happen is that they be same old, and then other coaches will come along and say, we'll find ways to work you out. And I think that's what's happened, Man City. The teams have worked Man City out. And the problem Man City have got as well is that Man City don't, as much as they have the shape Man saw, Man United actually outspend them. Like if Man United and Man City went for a player, believe it or not, Man United outspend Man City. Maguire was all due to go to Man City. Man United gazumped them, and that's what's happening now. Man United are outspending them. They're not successful, City, because what's happened is that Man United are spending don't seem to have a plan. But what's happening in Man City is that they are getting gazumped. Remember Chelsea now, because they've saved their money, have also gone in for players. So in terms of the money Guardiola's got, he has the money, but he isn't getting the players, because what's happening now is that players want to come for the big bucks. And in terms of what Man City are paying their players, they don't pay as high as Man United. They don't even pay as low as Arsenal. Remember, Arsenal got two players at £350,000 a week. So That's another consideration. And the problem you've got with Pep Guardiola, he's not buying actually people can defend. It's the same defender. Oh, he's good on the ball. He can start an attack when we've got the ball, and he has to be in a great position to have the ball, because as far as the correct violence is concerned, Man City are always going to be in attack. He doesn't seem to understand that when Man City, he thinks that when he was at Barcelona and when he was at Bayern Munich, that the best way of defending is basically to press in, do the double press, and win the ball back.
Was it 5 seconds to win the ball back?
Yeah, and that's it, 5 seconds. But you're not always going to do that, because there's going to be teams who are used to that, who are going to be training for when they don't have the ball, and what they're also training now to do is to train when they don't have the ball. So what they do is they're going to play the ball down the flanks, because it's all crowded around the midfield, and then basically because all the space is down the flanks, they're going to isolate, like Kyle Walker and Mendy on the other side of Sachenko, and then what will happen is that it'll be 1-on-1. Then what will happen is the guy will just cut in, look across, and say, "Oh my God, there's space down the other side." Put the ball through and score. Look at the goal, Arsenal's goal against in the semi-final, the first goal, and then look at the second goal. Both times where Man City try to do their 5-second double press, teams are now finding a way to get one. Look at all the goals against Leicester, down the flanks. And if it wasn't down the flanks, it was Jamie Vardy isolating an inexperienced defender, because an inexperienced defender who's playing because he's good on the ball. That's the problem Pep needs to do. He has to be able to reinvent himself. Could Pep do it? He could if he doesn't. He wants to, but he doesn't want to reinvent himself. Pep is basically a megalomaniac. There's only one way Pep's got to play, and it's his way. And it's worked for him a lot of times. But the problem with Pep's got to realise is that Pep was brought to win the Champions League. And the Champions League, you can't win like that. I know we're running out a bit of time, but I'm just going to have one more point. Look at the goals against Lyon in the quarter-final of the Champions League. Man City 1-1, equalised. Instead of calming down, what they do, the double press to try and get that second goal. And Lyon gave them 4 warnings, playing the ball out the back, down the side, and left Emmerich isolated. The 5th time, they didn't take that warning, straight on goal, 2-1. And then they had another, Sterling missed that chance, then they had another warning, 3-1. That's how you beat Man City now, if you're good enough and brave enough.
All right. Interesting question. Ricky Reynolds. Do you think Dele should come over to us, as in Dele Alli to Arsenal?
Arsenal Spurs don't do business, because the problem with Dele Alli is... I know. Arsenal Spurs don't do. I've got no problem with Dele Alli coming to Arsenal, but it's highly unlikely he won't come to Arsenal, and he's not probably the player that Arsenal are looking for. I think what's happened with Dele Alli is you got to read it between the lines. Is Mourinho at fault for trying to make an example of him, or was Dele Alli indulged under Pochettino? Because there's reports that Dele Alli was lazy in training, and nowadays the modern managers, especially like your Peps, your Jose Mourinho's, and your Mikel and Klopp's, you don't do it in training, you don't play. Simple. Doesn't matter. It's not all these little ones like Gary Lineker, was really poor in training, but he still played and scored a hat-trick.
Paul McGrath.
You know what I mean? Paul McGrath didn't train. No.
Yeah.
Gary Lineker, if he was playing under these managers, wouldn't last, because you have to show in training, because at the end of the day, nowadays, training is like a match. The intensity, the tactics, the planning, the formations. If you don't go through the motions, you're lazy in training. That's probably what's happening. That's the reports I'm hearing from Spurs, that Dele Alli is lazy in training, and that he's been indulged. He probably was indulged by Pochettino. And if you look at Dele Alli since the 16-17 season when Spurs finished second, his actual productivity and form has gone down. And so in terms of Dele Alli, he needs to leave Spurs, because at the end of the day, we've got the Euros coming up, and you've got all these young boys now knocking on the door for England. So Dele Alli to Arsenal would be a great addition. But then again, why do you want a player who's disaffected and who's a lazy trainer? Because this manager ain't having it. There's 2 high-profile players at a football club who are not getting games because apparently they're lazy trainers. Or I've got one more thing because I know you're in a rush. There's a saying in football: if you're not playing, make sure you don't become a cloud. And that's the saying in football that's been used for the last 30 or 40 years. Harold Wilkinson used to use it, and it's what they say about players. So is Dele Alli a cloud now because he's not playing? Is Mesut Ozil and Guendouzi at Arsenal a cloud? Because they're not in the matchday squads, are they? And clouds, if you're that sort of character, you don't want them around the dressing room where they're aggrieved and not playing. Maybe they're a cloud. Do you want to? Does my friend want a cloud in Arsenal, where you've got a young manager trying to get players into his way of playing, and you've got a player that is allegedly lazy? What would you do?
100%. I think, yeah, obviously, look, it's all about the cohesion within the group. You know, happy players perform. You know, so
only 11 players can play, bro. And there's only 3 substitutes now, not 5. So you're going to get a good player, good footballer with a lot of technical ability may not get games.
100%. And Kenny, man, it's been a pleasure, man, to do this. We'll try and do this a lot more, man. It's just obviously time constraints, but I think after
there's time constraints. I think it's boxing constraints. I mean, the sport the second sport we love, you know, is taking up a lot of your time, and definitely because, you know, I watch a lot of your boxing interviews. You know, I did try to warn you about Shannon Courtney getting a bit emotional when she fought.
Rachel Ball, yeah.
Rachel Ball. I mean, Rachel Ball played a lot of fiddle, and then she's gone in, got her wound up. She's gone in with her head up and got taken out with a left hook in the first round, and that was the brilliant gamesmanship by Rachel Ball.
Yes. Now you know what? Look, man, I think there's been some brilliant fights of late, and I can't wait, you know, for more fights to be made. Obviously, at the moment, there's a lot of, you know, jousting here and there in terms of people wanting money. People don't want to fight behind closed doors.
Well, definitely, but I think the problem is that a lot of things now is that the TV money's not enough unless it's pay-per-view. So I can understand the fighters want to do, and there's not a lot. You can't really. You can do a site price, you know, a site fee, and that probably can go to fight. But, you know, again, you know, it's hard to get people to do a site fee when there's no tickets to sell. So I can only see good fights going abroad now, where in countries where, you know, they will allow some sort of crowds.
Yeah, 100%.
But don't forget, your like I said, Joshua's fight, Boaxi's fighting Sunday.
Yeah. That's it. My goal name brother against Kalic, you know, and he's beaten Babbage in the amateurs as well twice. Yeah. So
and Anthony Yard, watch out, mate, because you don't want to go near Boaxi, because I'll tell you one thing, Anthony, you don't spar and you don't move, and you're like a hitting target, and Boaxi will hurt you if he catches you. So up your game.
All right, Kenny, man, it's been a pleasure for your time, man.
No
Thanks
problems.
a lot, man. Kenny Ken, Kobe signing out. Thank you, man. Have a good evening. Cheers. Cheers, man.